Hey everybody, welcome to Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Psychic Larry.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Ryan, and today we're talking about Uwe Rosenberg's Atiwa.
Well, Atiwa is from Uwe Rosenberg.
Atiwa, apparently. The stress is on T, and it's Tiwa.
Atiwa. It is for 1 to 4 players. Takes about 1 to 2 hours to play. It's a worker placement type game, and Melissa's going to give us a quick overview of the game.
In Atiwa, you're playing as a community leader near the Atiwa Range in Ghana. You'll develop the area by acquiring new land, managing animals and resources, creating housing for new families, and educating the community about the ways fruit bats help the environment. You'll be creating your community with cards in your player area and managing resources on your player board, unlocking greater production. But the more families in your community, the more food you'll need to feed them. The player who gains the most points by balancing the needs of their community and the environment wins.
Thanks for the quick overview. Yes, so we all got to play this the other night and wanted to sort of share our thoughts. Another Feed Your Family game from Uwe Rosenberg.
What a surprise!
You guys have played Agricola, Caverna, other Hallertau, other games. What are your initial thoughts, Melissa?
So I liked that the player boards have a lot of your resources. So as you put them out onto your cards, you're uncovering things and you're increasing your production. But then as you spend them, they go back to your board. So you're really having to balance that of when do I want stuff in my tableau and when do I want it up into my player board. So I thought that was an interesting aspect. And the goats were cute.
I like that you could have your untrained villagers eat fruit bats.
But once they're trained, they know better that the fruit bat is helpful to the propagation of the fruit trees.
Actually, I found the theme actually very interesting. There's not a lot of games. I don't know of any games with this kind of theme. But
Fruit bat.
But it did make thematic sense as you are gathering fruit, as trees are being planted because of the fruit bat droppings. And then
the rule book goes into
all the theme,
science.
and it actually makes sense because that's what's happening as you are doing those sort of actions in the game to then get bats to come to your village areas, and then they go fly away for the evening during the round. What do you think, Larry?
I thought it was a pretty good game. There's definitely the different resources on your board that you're trying to go after and trying to multiply. And as you progress in the game, the resources you definitely get your engine going more. But like Melissa said, you have to kind of balance. I kind of got stuck in 2 parts of my engine process going, and so I was out of trees half the game, and I was almost to the end of the villager section early, and those villagers, man, they eat food. It goes up exponentially eating food, and it's crazy. It's hard to keep them fed.
The balance is important because your untrained villagers, they will also cause pollution. Your untrained families.
Forgot about the pollution.
Yeah, and I focus so much on just preventing pollution when really you need to balance, a little pollution is good. That's what I learned. Because
that's what Ryan learns.
I don't know about that, but I will say in a lot of Uwe Rosenberg's games, there is that balance aspect. Even in the points at the end of the game, you need to have so many sheeps. If you don't have these things, you're going to get negative points, and I did feel that was an issue, because if you have all the family but you don't have any food to feed them, then you're getting negative points. If you have all the food but no family, basically you're getting a lot of points from having more of those family members out.
Right, and Melissa had only half of her families out, and she still scored more points than I did because she had some of the other.
I had all of my families out, did not win, came in last. So
I also had all my families, and I was second to last. So
some pollution, less people. That's the and I mean, you are still trying to feed all your families, but
compared to like his other games, it didn't feel as
I agree.
punishing to keep them fed.
Definitely easier. There's different ways of feeding your family, and it's already built into the game.
Yeah, you could spend goats, which are going to give you 3, or the little wild pigs, which are going to give you 2, or fruit and bats and things like that. So it's definitely not as punishing as Agricola. Now, Kevin and I just played the 15th anniversary Agricola last week as well, so
Yeah,
the comparison is really strong in my mind that it wasn't as punishing as that. And it might be a little simpler because you don't have a bunch of cards in your hand that you're trying to strategize. This
Simpler is
is
definitely the
just
key.
worker placement. And besides one little thing that's sliding round per round, you basically have the same spots available throughout the entire game.
And you don't get more workers. You only have 3 workers per round. You're never going to get more workers in a given round like you can in Agricola. You can, get more of your family. You only have 3 workers every single round.
Yeah. Timing is really important because every round there's I think 3 different things that will multiply, and you have to have certain amounts of them for them to multiply. I never could seem to quite get the timing right. I would have a lot of bats, and then bats weren't multiplying anymore, or I would be like 1 short on the antelope or the goats. I think they're antelope. Some sort
pigs.
of. They look like pigs, but they're not. They're like some sort of antelope.
Oh,
or deer.
they look like tapir to me.
The wild animals.
The wild animals. What about replayability on this game for Atiwa? What do you think? Because a lot of his Uwe Rosenberg's games, there's a lot of replayability. Personally,
Like variability?
yeah,
of it?
variability. Like if I'm going to come back to this game, am I going to be able to be like trying to like uncover secrets or things that are going to be able to like, oh, I've never seen these before, this kind of combination before.
I feel like there is a level of replayability in that you're learning the game. So I feel like if I played it a couple more times, I would get a better strategy at it.
Okay.
But I think it is limited because the round cards, there is a set number of round cards. That's all. I mean, they can shuffle up in different ways, so you get the worker placement in different orders.
Right,
But there's only those 7.
and then you only have you're purchasing territories and villages, but those to me are still limited in that they are only giving you
They're like multiples of the same thing.
the same thing, right?
Right.
Did we go through the whole terrain deck?
We did not.
Because that was the most random part of the game to me.
Yeah.
As what terrain cards were going to come out when.
And even in the terrain cards, there were still multiples of the same. They
Yeah,
kinda
I
did the
never
same
could
thing.
quite figure out, well, these all look great. I don't know which one helps
the
me the
best.
most.
Whereas,
But
like-
it was my first time.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I have a bunch of terrain that already have this. I don't have any spaces for trees. I need to get some terrain with trees. So sometimes you're looking for specific things because the cards have spaces for certain elements on them.
The negative terrain places are definitely not the way to go.
Well, I did get to a point where I had 3 and I was like, oh, I don't need any more of these. But apparently you need 4 for some of the bonuses on some of the other actions.
Oh, the one with the hand symbol. Yeah, that's a specific goal you're looking for.
We didn't mention the pieces. The pieces are already upgraded. They're not cubes. The workers are like meeple shaped. The goats and the wild animals and the bats are all shaped like those animals. So I think that's it's almost upgraded in a sense when it's like the old Agricola. Discs and cubes. Now they have those meeples and shapes that are, I think it just adds to the experience.
Yeah, I would say medium weight, but not maybe as heavy as some of his other games. I read through the rule book, watched a video, and I felt like it all made sense.
Yep.
And the iconography was pretty good, and you had helper cards that walked you through some of the round structure and when certain things were going to happen. So personally, I felt like it was a fairly easy entry into the game.
And personally, I think it's a fine game. I actually like more of his more complex games a little bit better. I'd probably bring those back to the table more often than I would Atiwa. That's my personal opinion.
I'd play it again. Now that I know how to win.
Right? I'd probably play it a couple more times. It's definitely a game where you're trying to bring maybe a beginner gamer into more complex games. Because it's kind of, like you said, more
especially his type of games. Future family.
maybe try this one before you try Agricola.
There we go. Well, that's our thoughts. If you ever have played an Uwe Rosenberg game, let us know which one is your favorite in the comments below. Thanks for watching.
Atiwa. apparently. The stress is on T, and it's
Atiwa.
Tiwa.
Atiwa.
Sorry.
Never pronounced it right.